Mark.
Hey,
I was trying to come in quietly so I didn't scare you this time because I know you're not feeling well. So
I saw you coming. I saw you coming this time.
um, it is we are getting towards the end of Titans Beast World, but we got just a couple more things to do. First of all, we got Titans and we got Nightwing's entry this week, so we'll get to both of those right after this. Before we get started, make sure you hit the subscribe button so that you are alerted whenever. Oh, and hit the notification button so you're alerted whenever we upload new content. Hit the like button while you're watching this. If you wouldn't mind doing that, that helps a lot as well. And don't forget to leave a comment. Let us know how we're doing. Let us know what you think of Titans Beast World, especially the issues that we're going to talk about in just a second. We are going to actually talk about the first one we're going to talk about is Titans number 7. It is the second part of the two-part Titans entry into the Titans Beast World story. It basically resolves the whole Garth uh, part of the story. So and Brother Eternity as well. So a lot of things are resolved this particular issue. Um, you want to take us through this issue, or you want?
Yeah, sure. This
Okay.
it really sets up and delivers the catalyst of everything happening. We kind of go back in time and issue here to what's going on inside of Titan's Tower before the previous issue of Beast World took place, and they're being ransacked by one of Starfire's ex cohorts from her homeworld named Xander.
Hmm.
Turns out Brother Eternity was not Brother Eternity at all. He was Xander, a Tamarian
Tamarinian.
in disguise.
Yes.
And his whole purpose behind this is he apparently worshipped the Necro Star, the giant counteractive Starro that we saw in issue 1. And his whole goal was to get this star, this giant deity, out of its prison. And that's what he has been infecting all these other Titans with, which I thought was pretty interesting. But we start off with a fight between him and Starfire, a little flashback to the deceptive nature of him on the homeworld, setting up her parents to be killed, a little blast from Cyborg to come in to help him out, and this great scene where Xander sends the spore, the Necrospore, into Cyborg. We then cut scenes back to Batgirl, who has been fighting off beasts in the hallway along with Nightwing, who got infected and turned into a fox because he's
Of
so
course.
sly.
Of
Yeah.
course he did. Love that line. Of course he. Dick is a fox. Of course he is.
And then we get Tempest shows up, still infected by the Necrospore, goes to blast Batgirl, and Raven jumps out and uses her magic to counteract his blast, and they're going tit for tat. Flash pulls up, gets Batgirl out of there. They proceed to battle through the hallway, and Raven gets Tempest moved over to the room that they have planned for him. We have an idea. We can stop him, get him over here, and she teleports him over there. And the room turns out to pretty much just be a giant dehumidifier. They just suck all the moisture out of him, weakening him to a point where the Necrospore comes out of him and Raven blasts it. Cut back to Cyborg, who's now infected. Xander just monologuing at him as any true villain should do. And Cyborg is stating, "Oh, this is gross. I can feel it wiggling around inside of me." Xander tells him, "Stop fighting. It's going to take you over. You have no stopping this spore. You will bring back my god, you machine man." He wants him under his control so he can open the boom tube to get the Necro Star back, who he sent across the universe in the beginning of this whole event. And then we get some fantastic dialogue from Cyborg. He's like, "See, that's the problem. I'm not just a man. I'm not just a machine. I'm more. I'm also missing half of the things the spore is trying to latch onto in there, but I have within me the peak technology of 2 worlds. You think an ancient alien spore could possibly keep up with my processing power? Get out." And the spore leaps out of his mouth. He literally just does not allow it. It has no power over him, no capability to latch onto him. Leaves him and he squishes it, and then Starfire just knocks out Xander. It was a pretty cool way to end it. No overpowering him. It was just
Hmm.
pure like coolness. Like it's like, yeah,
Right.
that was a pretty tough scene. And then minutes later, we get back to Nightwing, who's all bubbled up and being held in his little kennel, for lack of a better words. Little fox Nightwing is in his kennel, and Flash has rounded up all the beasts in there, and they're kind of getting everything under control. They let Nightwing out, and Starfire has an idea. Let him out. The spores are attracted to the most powerful people in the room, and of course, he pounces at her. She slams him up against the wall and holds him there till the spore willingly leaves him to jump into her, and she just bites it and kills it, which
Hmm.
is pretty cool. And then we get this half transformed Nightwing as he's turning back, which I thought was super adorable. I mean, look at him.
Hmm.
He's
I know.
adorable.
Just want to take him home.
Yeah, I want to take him home. And so now we have a freed Nightwing back to normal, a freed Tempest back to normal, and everybody kind of patting each other on the shoulders. Good job, gang, blah, blah, blah. Raven shows no pity, no mercy towards Xander. Walks right up to him, tough talks him for a second, and sends him straight through a portal. They're like, "Where'd he go?" Dude had to go to the Phantom Zone. They're like, "Wait, what?"
Yeah. You
Without
can do
any
that.
without any trial or anything, we can
Yeah.
just banish people to the Phantom Zone. And she says he's caused untold pain and death, Nightwing. Now he's in purgatory. Do not concern yourself with the ethics of this. We have a world to save from the damage he's done. So that kind of like, yo, wait a minute. Yo, wait. So we just got posed a huge ethical question of how the
Mhm.
Titans are operating in the last issue. Now we got Raven like doing like unquestionable stuff,
Right.
like banishing someone to the Phantom Zone like that. Like,
Right. Judge, jury, and executioner type thing.
yeah, like these people are turning out to be terrible. Like, for
Hmm.
being honest,
Yeah, and that she has that kind of power, which I don't think she's ever shown before. That she can just ban it. I mean, without the Phantom Zone projector, she can
projector.
just
Yeah,
send somebody to the Phantom Zone. There are a lot of little moments here that kind of show um, could be kind of grabbed on by other people or even Tom Taylor later on, like the fact that Cyborg could not be enslaved
infected.
by this spore. That Starfire, there was a great line you just went through it, but when she basically bites the thing and spits it out, she says I will not be enslaved again. That
Yeah,
was her, and then the whole thing with Raven. These are all things that I can definitely see Amanda Waller, latching onto as a reason why we need to get rid of all of these.
yeah.
All
I
of
hope these
these.
points are definitely like in some degree, not necessarily specifically brought back and
Right.
addressed, but some of these bigger questions need to be addressed. Otherwise, they're kind of just destroying the Titans' ethics.
Yeah.
You know, they're definitely setting up for us readers to question their ethics. I hope they're not just setting up to loosen their ethics. You know what I mean? I don't
Hmm.
want to see a morally loose team of Titans. Like they don't need to be like, how are they different than the Justice League? Oh, they're willing to do more. Like, yo, no, like that fine line in the sand is really what separates these superhero teams. Where there's vigilantes out there. You know what I mean? Like it's
Hmm.
not these people. These aren't
Right.
them.
Right.
I hope that's not
Exactly.
where it's going.
Exactly. And uh, we still also have. I'm thinking it's still going to somehow come to Raven and Doctor Hate somehow. That's going to be
Where
where
this
we're
is
going to
heading.
exactly,
Yeah,
and maybe.
what if Raven is Dr. Hate? Like some kind of split personality Raven. We still
Yeah.
don't know who Dr. Hate is, and I have no clue at this point.
Yeah, could be. And maybe that's why she's acting like that because, you know, Raven is in the past, and in some ways, has actually been reluctant to use her power to do certain things. And this time she just like goes full bore and just like, yeah, I'm sending them to the Phantom Zone. So, something is definitely going on there, and I'm sure, Tom Taylor has some sort of
Because
plan to
at
do that.
this point in the story, Garth isn't even dead yet,
Right. Right,
and
because
she's
this all
already
takes place
acting.
before issue number 4.
Yeah, because Garth didn't die till right after this. They pretty much leave here and set out to go stop Giganta and then head to
Mhm.
set up and try to defend Gar from the world and protect the world from Gar.
Right. Exactly.
And
The other story that happened was in Nightwing number 110. This actually picks up on the backup story from 109, which is where Damien turned into a cat. Here we have him again. We find out who that person was that actually was infecting him from the last issue. We have a new character. She's called Apex Ava. She basically is. She looks kind of like. I mean, she's Garth. She's got the green skin and everything. She's going to be more like Garth by the end of the issue, and I'll explain that in a second. But she basically is a person that hunts different things. Once she hunts and kills certain things, she ends up with a tattoo of what it is that she has killed on her. But she's the one that infected.
I bet she's just covered in tattoos of like 1,000 little flies from a lifetime of
Exactly.
swatting them.
um, we basically see this is Nightwing's and Superman's Jonathan Kent attempt to basically cure Damien, and we basically we end up finding out that there is in this abandoned ice rink. There is this almost like this fight club for all of these animals that have been these beasts that have been created. And so the whole thing behind the story is basically showing how while everyone else was trying to fight the beasts, Damien was trying to save them, and that's how he ended up being infected. We find out that we learn certain things about Damien in the story. That are true to character, but you didn't necessarily didn't think of like when Damien and Superman are fighting. Why didn't the spore leave Damien and go into Superman? And it's pointed out by Nightwing that one of the things that it seems these spores do is they also, besides the fact that they go into the strongest, they also do take on in some ways. They look at the personality of the person that they're in, and it's firmly believed that Damien feels as though he could beat Superman no problem. So that's
Oh,
why
that's
this.
cool.
So that's why the spore stays in Damien and doesn't necessarily leave, because that's the character. Damien thinks that he's indestructible and he could take out anyone. Um, we do end up in the end. The thing does actually end up leaving Damien, and as soon as it leaves, Superman uses his heat vision, fries the thing so I can't get into anybody else. And then we find out there's a scene with Nightwing and Ava Apex, sorry, Apex Ava, where we find out that not only does she have these tattoos and everything, but she has the ability, much like Garth, to actually change into certain animals. And just when they think they've captured her, she turns into an eagle and she flies off and she's gone. So I'm sure that at some point she will be back sometime. Tom Taylor will bring her back to cause more havoc and everything. And then the issue ends with a nice discussion between Superman and Nightwing and Damien, and that's where Damien says, just tell me when I became infected, did I kill anybody? And they're like, look, you didn't. Even if you did, you wouldn't. You're not responsible for what happens when something else takes over your body. Just like they say, you're not responsible for the fact that when you were young, Ra's al Ghul trained you to be this ruthless killer and everything. That's just that's all on them and not necessarily on you. And so there's this discussion, but it was kind of interesting. We kind of see in some ways a little bit of a softer side of Damien, which is not out of. I mean, which is it felt a little bit out of character because that's not who he is, but in everything that's happened so far, it did kind of feel as though this might be a place where that might actually happen to him, where he's not in control of himself, and he's totally okay with whatever he does when he's in control, but he didn't feel as though he necessarily, he definitely does worry about the fact if he's not in control of himself, what he may do. So it was a great story. It happened, outside of obviously the main story. But yeah, it was a neat little story by Tom Taylor and everything. So if you get a chance to read it, it's not required reading to understand what's going on in Beast World at all. But it's just kind of like a supplemental thing that it's not very long. Like I said, it was the backup in 109. It was the full story in 110. So it's only about maybe 38 pages or whatever total. So yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, exactly. But that's going to be it for this deep dive. Next week we have Beast
Big
World
week.
number 5, and then we
And Star
have
City.
World Tour Star City. So looking forward to that. And then I think we have even the week after that. I think we have another one. I think we have 5 and 6 coming
Back to
right
back.
back to back, I believe, because it was designed to be over by the end of January. So I think we have 5 and 6 coming. coming right after each other. So we should be done in just a week or two. So again, leave a comment. Let us know how we're doing. Let us know what you want us to go, where you want us to go after that. We have some ideas, but we're always willing to listen to other things.
Yeah,
Again,
because
make
our
sure you
ideas are never good, so we need y'all to
exactly.
leave a comment.
Exactly. If you've seen some of our ideas, we've pretty much shown that. Um, don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to hit the like button. Again, don't forget to comment. We appreciate all the time that you take, watching these. But that's going to be it. As always, I am Paul. He is Mark. No matter where my finger points, he's still always Mark.
But
Uh,
we are Legion.
and you're not leaving to 20.